Excited to have my next guest on the show. It's Jeff Reynolds, who will be back in action on February the 3rd at NEF 56 when he takes on David Burke. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on, Ryan. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. And I got to tell you, man, when I first saw the announcement for this fight, I was excited. Both you and David have a lot of power. You guys share a common opponent, David McCarty. Did you feel like this matchup may have been inevitable once, he decided to turn pro?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I was aware of him when he popped on the scene, and being that 185 is a small circle around here, so you're kind of aware of who's coming up and who's doing what. So I saw him coming up, and I happened to jump to the pros at a time where I wasn't sure that had it been an amateur fight, it would have been a cool matchup at amateur as well. But the time has come, and it was thrown at me, and the matchup sounds right. So yeah, at the pro, we're gonna do it.
And he just had a really tough fight with Devin Corson. He went down to 170 to fight for the title, and Corson's a monster. I mean, that was just an amazing performance from him. Do you feel like maybe, because you're a big guy, Burke is a big guy, when you cut weight like that for him, I know it was tough to make 170. Do you feel like that really could have affected his performance there in that title fight?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know he's a big guy, so making that cut to 170, I'm sure it took a toll on him. So the smartest thing to do is if you feel like that's really taking a toll on your performance, jump up a weight. You fought at 85. I know he's had success there, so why not go back to that weight class where you've had success and not hurt yourself to hinder your performance. So I think it makes sense for him. And yeah, credit to him. That fight was a great fight. That was a hard nosed fight, and it was cool to watch those two guys go at it. So.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. That was one of the better regional fights I've seen in person in quite some time. What is that cut like for you? How much do you have to cut to make 185?
Um, I mean, it depends. My weight can get up there, no doubt about it. But I keep it dialed in for the most part. Especially it starts with staying in the gym, and as long as you're staying in the gym and keeping your body in motion and just being smart about your diet and everything like that, and I'll let it get out of hand, because when the time comes and you do have to cut that weight, nothing's worse than having to shed off more than needed, more than you'd like to. And I've had to do that in the past, and it wasn't fun. So I try to stay dialed in and make sure that I'm a professional all around. So
And you got a lot of muscle mass on you, Jeff. Do you get north of 220? Is that maybe as high as you get?
yeah, I've been higher than that before. I don't like to be that high. It does no good in the sport to have to cut that kind of weight when I just want to perform. So when performance is my main focus, getting big and huge and looking good in the mirror, that's like, come on, that's not, you're in the wrong sport, and that's definitely not what I aim to do. So I do pack on muscle. Maybe it's a genetic thing where I pack it on a little bit easier, and I just have to keep that in check, and yeah, not let my weight get too inflated. But it has been north of 220 before, but I'm not north of 220 at the moment. That's for sure.
All right. And how old are you?
I'm 32. I just turned 32 last weekend.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
happy belated birthday.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, this will be your third time fighting for NEF. You're undefeated for the promotion. You're 2-0. How what is it about NEF that I guess brings out the best in you? How do you like, performing and fighting for this promotion?
I love fighting for NEF. It's a small cage. It's different there. I like traveling. I sound like a broken record. I've said this before, but it's the truth. I like staying in a hotel, and traveling there, and yeah, the cage is small. The group of guys there are awesome. I love, you feel welcome when you're there, and I just so happen to have some good luck there and within the promotion. I'm not a superstitious guy by any means, so that doesn't have any weight in my mind. But yeah, NEF it's been good to me. So yeah.
Most recently, we saw you at NEF 54, round one TKO victory over Mike Murray. Really tough competitor. We know how dangerous he is, really on the feet or on the ground. He's a well-rounded fighter. What was your mindset? What was your game plan going into this one?
My mindset for this one, it was simply just to get the win. You know, I was coming off a tough loss, um, and it was almost a year. So um, with that tough loss, the layoff, it was just about getting in there, get my feet under me, and then and performing. You know, I wanted to. I let him. I didn't let him do anything, but I just mean he was. I saw his shots coming. Um, let him work his game a bit until it was time that I wanted to ramp it up and then and do my part. Um, so yeah, it simply was just to be very very aware of what I was doing in there and following the game plan. And the game plan was to ultimately ended up take it down to the floor. Um, because I knew that I would have a size advantage there, and yeah, I want to be smart in this sport. So matchups create different game plans, as you know, and in this particular matchup, it made the most sense to get him down and work it there. So
Well, it was a masterful performance. Really, really impressive. I think I'd have to say because of who the opponent was, that may have been the best performance of your career, or the most impressive one. Would you agree with that? What did you and your team think about your performance post fight?
yeah, I mean, we were all happy, but as far as that really holding too much weight in my mind, I didn't get too high after that fight. Um, I didn't let myself get too high after that fight. It's just a fight that on this road, one of many, and you got to enjoy the wins. Definitely relish in that to an extent, and feel good for a day or two. But it wasn't something that I let get to my head by any means. I'll have a long way to go, and yeah, I mean, it continues on
Mhm.
February the 3rd. So
I wanted to ask you too, Jeff, about the loss at Combat FC2 to Steven Stengel. I know that must have been really tough for you. I mean, in this game, you make one mistake, these little tiny gloves, you get caught, and anyone can get put out. How difficult was that, to suffer that loss? And not to take anything away from Steven, because he's a big, powerful guy too, but I think you had to be a big favorite going into that fight if you could, bet on these regional fights.
yeah,
His record isn't, maybe what someone that's like a Ryan Sanders, who's got a
right.
very stellar record. How difficult was that? And what did you learn from that fight?
Yeah, it was very tough. I went into that fight very confident. Um, really believing in the fact that I was going to get that win, and it didn't happen. So it hits hard. It hits like a ton of bricks, and yeah, it was just in hindsight, it was what I needed. I needed, sometimes you do need to feel the lowest of the lows, especially in the sport, and it's just about how you rebound. And I think I've done a really good job of taking a loss in this sport and then rebounding and performing. And if I get that really dialed in, I believe I could beat anybody around here, and that's the wholehearted truth in my mind, at least. But to answer your question, as far as that loss to Steven, it was very tough. Um, yeah, it was a good shot. It was just bang bang. So credit to him. I don't take anything away from him. Um, I mean, I'd love to get that one back, but yeah, it was his night that night. So that's the way it goes.
All right, man. I love the answer. As far as when you get your work in at camp to get ready for a fight, tell me what your day to day is like. I'm sure you have a job to pay the bills and all that. So what is that balance like?
Yeah, I mean, well, this morning I was at the gym, got a good workout in. Depends on the day, but whether or not it's a morning workout here at home, and or going to the gym, or getting my conditioning in here, and then heading to practice at night, and whether it's a jiu-jitsu night or we're sparring, whatever that might be, it depends on the day. But 2 workouts a day is how I like to operate. And that keeps me really, really in gear. Yeah, so I live about 40 minutes, 45 minutes from KTA. So I do need to, like, I plan out my weeks, but I plan ahead, and I follow through. I make sure I hold myself accountable. When I plan something, I do it. So
I love Walter. He's such a great guy. What is he like as a coach and to learn from and just the vibe at KTA?
yeah, the vibe over there is as solid as you can get. A group of guys that look out for each other, want the best for each other, push each other to the point where everybody's really encouraging each other. So Walter, as a head coach, I mean, he's the man. The guy has endless energy. I don't know how he does it, but he does it, and it's impressive. And if it wasn't for him, I think, it's tough to keep. He just keeps the wheels in motion for everybody, keeps everybody motivated, and brings the best out of people. So I mean, he's the best head coach. It's just no way around it. I'm thankful for him. Very.
Is there one area of your game that's really grown the most since working with Walter?
Yeah, I mean, the striking aspect, Walter definitely takes a lot of pride in the striking aspect of the sport. I have a wrestling background. I've done jiu-jitsu for a number of years, and so down there, I've always been relatively comfortable. I even on the feet, I love to box. I believe in my boxing wholeheartedly, and it's only gotten better each and every time. Um, Working with Walter. I mean, over these last couple of years, Walter has definitely propelled me in that area, and it's just about displaying that and showing that during these fights. Like, you know, it will happen, and when that fight might be, who knows? It could be the next one, it could be the one after that. But I'm well rounded, and I believe that. So.
Who are the main training partners that you have there at KTA? Is there anyone specifically that you work with more than like anybody else there at the gym?
Yeah, I mean, my excuse me, my number one training partner is by far John McNeil, who he'll be fighting on February 3rd as well. He has a fight. I think it's going to be a second pro fight. So I'm super excited for him to get back in there. We're fortunate where we can get into a camp together. So we're pushing each other and working hard. And John McNeil, I mean, we have a number of guys in the room, as you know. Andrew Jacobs is another one that doesn't, his mainstay isn't at KTA, but he's there quite often. And then especially all the guys that are at Lausanne's when we head up there on Saturdays and spar and get big bodies and see different bodies. So number of guys. There's too many to answer, but yeah. Yep.
How many days a week do you spar? Is it just Saturdays?
I like to. I've implemented over the last couple of years 2 days a week. Wednesday nights is sparring night at Walters, and it's always best night of the week. I feel, but that is always a packed room, and Wednesday nights and then Saturdays is at Lausanne. So, and then I haven't done it yet. I'm planning on getting there. I don't know if it's going to be within this camp, but Hard Knocks in Boston on Friday nights, they do light sparring there. So John's been going, Andrew's been going. They're loving it, and they're trying to get me there. So I'm going to make it a point to get there. So
Very cool.
not I want to do more, exceed 3 days. I'm definitely not going to exceed 3 days. Keep it at two. Keep it at two.
Yeah, that makes sense. Any idea how many KTA fighters will be competing on this upcoming NEF card?
I have to be honest with you. I wanted to be prepared for that question because I'd love to give everybody a shout out um, for their upcoming fight. I couldn't tell you. I know Mike Woods has a fight January 6th, I believe, for Reality Fighting. And then there are a number of guys lighter in the weight classes, but number of guys that are fighting on February 3rd, and still there are a few that are working on getting fights. So for that date, it's just a matter of who actually narrowed one down. I have to check.
Okay.
But this everybody. I mean, everybody's moving like 100 miles an hour in there. So if they weren't fighting, they fooled me because everybody's geared up. So
And Matt will be doing a lot more matchmaking as we get closer. Still plenty of time before February 3rd actually gets here.
Yeah.
You talked about your age earlier. You're still a young guy. I guess in the big picture for like the MMA world, combat sports, 32 is getting up there, I guess, right? But in the real world, you're still really young. What are
Yeah.
your goals as a fighter? Like, what is it you really want to accomplish before you actually walk off into the sunset and retire?
Sure. My goals are to continue to take fights like this one, um, fights like I have in the past. I've never shied away from any fight. I've always tried to challenge myself. So continue to challenge myself, and then when doing that, good results will come if you stay true to the course. So that's that. Take tough fights. Take good fights. Fights that will propel me, and on the other side of the fight, they're fights that are going to have my growth will really my I will grow from these fights. So my plan is to just keep fighting, taking fights, and then seeing where this takes me, because I believe wholeheartedly that I can make something happen. If not, so be it. But I definitely am not rolling over. So that's that.
Before you ever embarked on, getting into combat sports and a life as a fighter, did you ever get into any fights in the real world, like any bar fights or anything like that growing up?
Mm. I mean, I have a younger brother. Um, constantly, that's the cliche, but that's the truth. And then yeah, I mean, I have had a couple squabbles over the years, but nothing that I'm definitely, my personality is not one to start a fight, um but if it's presented and like I need to, then I will, and I have. So to answer your question, yes, I have.
Okay. Yeah. I was in one real fight in my life. It was a long time ago. I had a bottle broken over my head. And
Oh,
I'm the same as you. Like I don't go out looking for fights, but I finished that one. So I'm 1-0, and I think that's the end of it.
good. A hell of a record right there. And if somebody breaks a bottle over your head, I think that's a green light to finish the fight for sure. So
Yeah, man.
good work on.
100%. Let's talk a little bit about fighting back at the Aura. You had a really impressive victory over David McCarty back in the day fighting at Aura. Are you excited to be back in that atmosphere? I know, like, warming up, a lot of people say it's difficult because there's not a lot of room to move around there. But as far as just the crowd and where it's placed and everything, people on top of you, do you like that?
Yeah, when I fought there, I didn't particularly mind it. It is tight. I could see what people are saying, but I didn't mind it. The room's hot. I would rather it hot than cold, that's for sure. And yeah, it's not going to throw me off by any means. I'm already familiar there, and it wasn't an uncomfortable environment. So I'm excited to be back at the Aura. I thought that venue was very cool, and yeah, it would be good to be back. It would be good to be back there for sure.
Let's talk about David Burke, man. Again, I have this one circled. Very well could be fight of the night. We'll see what happens come fight night. But again, both of you guys are big, strong guys, a lot of power. And we saw Burke had some struggles with Corson's wrestling. Do you feel like that may be, your easiest path to victory to wrestle him, to get him down to the ground? I mean, I don't want you to give away your game plan, but when you just look at what Burke brings to the table, like, what do you think about the matchup?
Well, I think it's a great matchup. I think it's a competitive matchup. I think it's a matchup that one of us, both of us, will grow from this fight. But the one that comes out on the right side of this one, they're going to feel good about it. There's no question about it. But as far as the game plan, yeah, I definitely wouldn't be given that. But as far as the wrestling and coursing and all that, I don't put too much stock into that. The weight cut is definitely a factor. Corson's an awesome wrestler, and he displayed that. As far as for me, I truly feel that I am well rounded, and I just haven't been able to display that quite how I'd like to. So as far as me putting too much stock into any area of the game in this particular fight, I don't. I'm ready for wherever the fight goes, wherever I bring it, and yeah, I mean, I have an idea of how he's going to want to start the fight, and I'm ready for that. I happily oblige, so it'll be good.
If this fight does stay on the feet, I mean, Burke has a chin on him, as do you. Do you feel like your stand-up skill set is better than his?
Um, I no, I can't say whether or not it is. We're gonna find out in certain areas of this in this fight, who has the ups on the other, and that may just come down to just grit. May just come down to grit and who wants it more. And I know how much I want it, so that goes without saying. Um, I have no knocks on his skills. I think he's very skillful, and he's a good fighter. So credit to him. And it's exciting to be matched up. But being matched up with me is different. So I'll have to show that.
Give me a prediction. I know you're a very respectful guy. You're not talking any trash or anything like that. But how do you see this fight ending? What's your official prediction here?
I see this fight. My prediction for this fight is both of us growing, feeling good about coming out on this from this fight, feeling like we gave it our all. So you could put two and two together. We're gonna give it our all. I'm gonna be there for the whole 15 minutes, and I expect him to be there. So it's gonna be a hard nosed fight, and that's what I want. That's what he wants. I would imagine that's what he wants, and I know he's a tough guy. So let's find out. It'll be good, and I'm going to remain respectful. I respect his skills very much. I respect him as a fighter, but let's find out. Let's see.
If you do beat David Burke, do you feel like that puts you in line for maybe an NEF title shot at some point soon?
Sure. If they'd like to do that, that's fine. That's great. I'd be happy to do that. That'd be exciting. But first and foremost, I sure as hell am not thinking beyond this fight. Um, I'm ready for the match that's in front of me. Totally focused on that, and then we'll see where everything unravels, and I'll be ready for it.
All right, my man. Can't wait to see you February 3rd. It's been an honor to commentate your fights previously, so I'm excited to be back there doing it again. Again, February 3rd, NEF 56, Jeff Reynolds, David Burke. You do not want to miss this one, MMA fans. And again, I appreciate your time here today. Fantastic interviewing you for the first time. Before we do sign off, I want to give you the floor. If there's anyone you want to thank, anything you want to plug, floor is yours.
All right. I've said it before. I don't have an Instagram, Facebook. I'm there. I mean, what good does that do? But yeah, I just want to plug my team, um, all my teammates and my coaches, anybody that helps along this journey and improving and being able to put my best self forward. So everybody, and shout out to John McNeil. He's fighting February 3rd. I'm going to have all the other names for you too. I know they're still working on matchups, but John McNeil's going to bring it. So keep your eye out for him. And yeah, I want to say thank you, Ryan, for having me on. It was very nice to meet you. And yeah, thanks for reaching out. I'm happy to do this. So, and a Merry Christmas to you.